The red dust of Mars swirled around Professor James Walker's boots as he carefully brushed away centuries of debris from the metal panel. His hands, despite being protected by the latest in excavation gear, trembled slightly. After 3 years of digging in this remote Martian valley, his team had finally found something extraordinary. "Tom, bring the scanner over here," he called through his helmet radio. His assistant, a young graduate student, hurried over with their most advanced scanning equipment. The device hummed to life, projecting a blue light over the strange markings that covered the panel surface. The wind howled outside their protective dome, but inside, the only sound was the quiet beeping of their equipment and the excited breathing of the archaeology team. They had discovered many things during their Mars expedition: bits of strange metal, unusual rock formations, and hints of something that shouldn't exist. But this was different. This was proof. "Professor, these readings, they're off the charts," Tom said, his voice filled with wonder. "The metal isn't just unknown to us. It's not even made of elements we've cataloged. And these markings," he gestured to the swirling patterns that decorated the panel surface, "they're not random. There's some kind of language." Walker nodded, his heart racing. "Help me clear more of this area," he ordered, and the team quickly got to work. As they removed more of the red Martian soil, the panel revealed itself to be part of something larger. A door, barely larger than a briefcase, set into the rock face. Just then, their communication system crackled to life. "Professor Walker." It was Lisa from the command center. "We're picking up some strange readings from orbit. And there's a message from Earth. It's marked urgent." Walker was too focused to pay much attention. "Tell them we're busy. We found something incredible here." His gloved fingers traced the patterns on the door. There was something familiar about them, something that tugged at the edges of his memory. "Sir," Lisa's voice was tense now. "The message is from Earth Defense Command. The Stellar Empire. They've entered the solar system. 3 of their ships just passed Jupiter's orbit." That got everyone's attention. The Empire, humanity's greatest threat, hadn't dared to enter the solar system before. They'd made their demands from a distance: submit to imperial rule or face destruction. Earth had refused, but until now, it had just been a distant threat. "How did they know?" Tom whispered. "We only just found this." Walker's blood ran cold. Someone had leaked information about their dig. The Empire knew what they were looking for, even if his team didn't fully understand it themselves. With renewed urgency, Walker pressed his scanner against the door's surface. The patterns began to glow with a soft blue light, responding to something in the device's signal. There was a click, then a hiss of ancient machinery coming to life. The door swung open, revealing a small chamber carved into the rock. Inside, floating in a field of shimmering energy, was an object about the size of a laptop computer. It was made of the same strange metal as the door, covered in the same flowing script, but it pulsed with an inner light that seemed to reach out to them. "Pack it up." "Carefully," Walker ordered. "We need to get this to the base immediately." He looked up at the dome's ceiling, knowing that somewhere up there, humanity's worst nightmare was approaching. Whatever this is, we can't let the Empire get their hands on it. As they secured the artifact in their strongest containment unit, Walker couldn't shake the feeling that they'd just stumbled onto something much bigger than a simple archaeological find. The way the object seemed to respond to their presence, the impossible readings from their instruments, the Empire's sudden interest, it all pointed to one incredible possibility. This wasn't just a relic from some long-dead civilization. This was something that belonged to them, to humanity. And somehow, deep in his bones, Walker knew it was exactly what they needed to face the coming storm. The red emergency lights flashed through the corridors of Mars Base 1 as Professor Walker and his team rushed toward the landing bay. The artifact, sealed in its containment unit, felt warm against Walker's chest as he carried it. Behind them, the base's warning sirens wailed. Imperial ships entering Mars orbit. The announcement echoed through the speakers. "All personnel, proceed to emergency stations. Commander Anna Stone met them at the landing bay doors. She was tall and carried herself with military precision, her gray uniform spotless despite the chaos around them. "Professor, we've got a ship ready, but we need to move fast." Through the bay's massive windows, Walker could see 3 Imperial vessels descending through the pink Martian sky. They were beautiful in a terrifying way. Huge silver shapes that seemed to flow like liquid metal, each one bigger than Earth's largest cities. "How did they get here so quickly?" Tom asked, breathing hard from their run. "They didn't just pass Jupiter," Stone explained as she led them to a small, sleek ship. "They've been waiting out there, watching us. As soon as they detected the artifact's energy signature, they moved in." The ship's engines were already running. It wasn't much to look at, just a basic transport vessel painted in Earth Defense Force gray. But Stone assured them it was faster than it looked. They barely had time to strap in before she took the controls and lifted off. "Incoming transmission," the ship's computer announced, from the Imperial flagship. Stone nodded to Walker, who pressed the communication button. A deep, smooth voice filled the cabin. "This is Grand Admiral Marcus of the Stellar Empire," the voice said. "You have something that belongs to us. Return it immediately, and we may show mercy to your world." Walker looked at the containment unit, then at Stone. She shook her head slightly and pushed the ship's engines harder. "I repeat," Marcus said, his voice losing its smoothness. "Return the artifact, or we will." Stone cut the transmission. "Hold on," she said, and threw the ship into a spiral just as green energy beams sliced through the space where they had been. The ship shuddered as Stone pushed it to its limits, weaving between Imperial energy blasts. Through the viewport, Walker watched Mars grow smaller behind them. The Imperial ships followed, their silver hulls gleaming in the sunlight. "The asteroid belt," Stone said as she plotted their course. "If we can make it there, we might lose them in the rocks." The artifact began to pulse faster in its container, its light matching the rhythm of Walker's racing heart. He noticed something strange. Every time an Imperial shot got close, the artifact's glow would intensify, and the beam would somehow miss them by inches. "It's protecting us," he whispered, studying the strange markings on its surface. Suddenly, a massive explosion rocked their ship. A glancing hit from an Imperial weapon had taken out one of their engines. They started spinning, emergency lights flashing everywhere. "Everyone hold on," Stone shouted. She fought with the controls, trying to stabilize their flight path. The asteroid belt loomed ahead of them, a thick cloud of rocks ranging from the size of pebbles to small moons. Walker clutched the artifact tighter as Stone aimed their damaged ship toward a cluster of larger asteroids. The Imperial vessels were closing in, their weapons charging for another shot. Just when it seemed they were finished, the artifact's pulsing reached a peak. A wave of blue energy spread out from it, washing over their ship. The damaged engine sputtered, then roared back to life, stronger than before. Stone didn't waste the opportunity. She pushed the restored engine to full power and dove into the asteroid field, using the giant rocks as cover. Behind them, the Imperial ship slowed, too big to safely follow through the dense field of spinning boulders. As they disappeared into the safety of the asteroid belt, Walker looked down at the artifact. Its pulsing had returned to normal, but now he was sure. This wasn't just some ancient relic. This was something alive, something aware. And whatever it was, it had chosen to help them escape. "Where to now?" Tom asked, still gripping his seat from their wild flight. Stone checked their navigation system. "There's an old mining colony hidden deep in the belt. We can hide there, figure out our next move." She looked back at Walker. "And maybe you can start figuring out exactly what that thing is." The mining colony was a maze of dark tunnels carved into a massive asteroid. Emergency lights cast long shadows as Walker's team set up their equipment in what used to be the colony's main control room. The artifact sat in the center of their makeshift lab, its soft blue glow providing extra light. No signals from the Imperial ships, Stone reported, checking the old colony's radar systems. "I think we lost them. For now." Walker barely heard her. He was focused on the readings from their scanner. After their escape, the artifact had started displaying new patterns on its surface. The strange markings were shifting, changing, almost like, "It's trying to communicate," he said suddenly, making everyone look up. "These aren't just decorations. They're messages." Tom moved closer, adjusting his glasses. "But in what language? We've studied every known script in human history, and nothing matches this." Walker reached out and touched the artifact's surface. The moment his fingers made contact, the blue glow intensified. The markings began moving faster, swirling across the metal like water. Then, to everyone's amazement, they started arranging themselves into familiar shapes, English letters. "Impossible," Stone whispered, stepping closer. Words formed on the surface. "G nidik mach ko on FIR. Access granted." The artifact suddenly projected a hologram into the air above it. The image showed Earth, but not as they knew it. This Earth was covered in gleaming cities that stretched into space. Massive ships, far more advanced than anything humanity had now, moved between orbital stations that put their current technology to shame. "What are we looking at?" Stone asked, her voice filled with wonder. "Our past," Walker replied, understanding flowing into his mind as he touched the artifact. "Earth, it wasn't always like it is now. We weren't always like we are now." The hologram changed, showing humans in advanced suits walking among the stars. They were building things, stations, ships, entire worlds. They were guardians, protectors, creators. The images shifted faster. Other alien races, peaceful cooperation, a golden age of exploration and discovery. "This can't be right," Tom said. "According to our history, we evolved on Earth. We were primitive until just a few centuries ago." The artifact responded to his doubt with new images. They watched as a great war erupted across the galaxy. The ancient humans fought against rebels who wanted to use their technology for conquest. Rather than let their power be corrupted, the ancients made a choice. They showed scenes of the great cities being buried, the mighty ships being hidden away. The Guardians used their most advanced technology to alter themselves, stepping back to a simpler existence. They became primitive again by choice, seeding Earth with the building blocks that would let them evolve naturally when the time was right. "They hid everything," Walker said, understanding now. "They didn't want their power to be misused. They wanted humanity to grow up again, naturally, to learn wisdom before reclaiming their heritage." "But the Empire," Stone started, "are the descendants of the rebels," Walker finished. "They found some of the old technology, learned to copy it, but they never understood its true purpose." The hologram showed one final image, a map of sorts, showing locations across the galaxy. Each point pulsed with the same blue light as the artifact. "These are repositories," Walker explained, the knowledge flowing from the artifact to his mind. "Places where the ancient humans hid their most important technologies. Not weapons of destruction, but tools of creation and protection. This artifact is a key to finding them. And the Empire knows this," Stone added grimly. "That's why they want it so badly. They think they'll find weapons to increase their power." The artifact's glow dimmed slightly, as if confirming her words. In its light, Walker could see both hope and worry on his companions' faces. They had discovered humanity's true heritage, but now they had to protect it from those who would misuse it. "We need to reach these locations before the Empire does," Walker said, studying the map. "Each one will have something we need, not just technology, but knowledge about who we really are and what we're meant to be." Stone nodded, already planning. "And we need to do it fast. The Empire won't stop hunting us. And once they figure out where we've gone." The artifact pulsed once more, and Walker understood their next destination. It would be dangerous, but they had no choice. The race to reclaim humanity's forgotten legacy had begun. The team's small ship dropped out of faster-than-light travel near a planet that shouldn't exist. According to all modern star charts, there was nothing here but empty space. Yet before them floated a world covered in swirling purple clouds, with rings of crystalline debris circling its equator. Avalon, Walker read from the artifact's glowing surface. They called this planet Avalon. Stone guided their ship through the crystal rings, following coordinates provided by the artifact. The closer they got to the planet's surface, the more the artifact's blue glow intensified. It was leading them home. They broke through the cloud layer to find something remarkable. A city. Not ruins, but a functioning city, its silver towers reaching up into the purple sky. Yet there were no signs of life, no movement in its streets or skies. "It's all automated," Tom said, checking his instruments. "The whole city is running on its own, waiting for someone to return." They landed on a platform that lit up as they approached, ancient systems recognizing their arrival. The air was breathable, though thin. As they stepped out of their ship, lights began coming on throughout the city, as if it was waking up after a long sleep. The artifact pulled Walker forward, its pulsing growing stronger as they approached a tall building in the city center. Inside, they found a vast chamber filled with floating holographic displays, all springing to life at their entrance. "Welcome, children of Earth," a voice echoed through the chamber. A hologram appeared. A woman in flowing robes, her image flickering with age. "If you are seeing this, you have begun to remember." "Who are you?" Stone asked, her hand instinctively moving to her weapon. "I am an echo, a recording left by the last council before the Great Sleep," the hologram replied. "I am here to help you understand." The chamber filled with images, the full story of humanity's past. They watched as their ancestors emerged not on Earth, but on distant worlds. Humanity had been among the first spacefaring races, explorers and builders who helped younger civilizations grow. "We were never meant to be conquerors," the hologram explained. "We were guardians, teachers, protectors of life wherever it emerged. Earth was just one of many worlds we washed over." "Then why did we abandon everything?" Tom asked. "Why make ourselves forget?" The images change, showing the rebellion that nearly tore the galaxy apart. Some humans had wanted to rule rather than protect, to dominate rather than guide. The war that followed was devastating. "We couldn't destroy the rebels without becoming like them," the hologram said. "So we chose a different path. The Great Sleep. We would hide our technology, alter our memories, and start again. Earth was chosen as our cradle, where we would grow up again, naturally." Walker watched in amazement as the images showed the process, how the ancient humans had carefully hidden their technology across the galaxy, then used their most advanced science to begin their own evolution anew on Earth. But something went wrong, didn't it? Stone asked, understanding dawning on her face. "The rebels found some of what was hidden." "Yes," the hologram confirmed. "They became what you now call the Empire. They learned to use our old tools, but without understanding their true purpose. They turned devices meant to protect and nurture into weapons of control." The artifact suddenly floated from Walker's hands, taking its place in a receptacle at the chamber center. New information flooded the displays. Detailed maps of hidden facilities, databases of forgotten knowledge, and most importantly, the location of something called the Guardian's Heart. "This is why the Empire hunts you," the hologram explained. "The heart is not a weapon of destruction. It is a key to awakening all our old technology, but only for its true purpose. In their hands, it would burn out all they have stolen. In yours, it could restore what was lost." "How do we reach it?" Walker asked, studying the new maps. "You must prove yourselves worthy," the hologram replied, "just as your ancestors did. The path to the heart is a series of trials, not of strength or power, but of wisdom and compassion. The very qualities the Empire has forgotten." Stone looked at the maps, then at her team. "The Empire will figure out where we've gone soon. We don't have much time. Walker nodded, downloading the new information to their systems. Then we better get started. We have a legacy to reclaim. As they prepared to leave, the hologram spoke one last time. Remember, the power you seek is not for destruction. It is for restoration. Use it wisely, children of Earth. The galaxy awaits your return. 3 days after leaving Avalon, Walker and his team stood before their first trial. They had followed the ancient maps to a small moon orbiting a gas giant. The moon's surface was covered in ice, but deep below, they found a vast chamber carved from crystal. Imperial ships detected at the edge of the system. Stone warned, checking their sensors. We have maybe 2 hours before they find us. In the center of the chamber stood 3 pillars of light, red, blue, and green. Each pillar contained what looked like a simple control panel. The artifact hovered between them, projecting a message in glowing letters. To move forward, you must choose. One path leads to power. One path leads to knowledge. One path leads to understanding. Choose wrongly, and the way remains closed. Tom studied the readouts on his scanner. The red pillar is showing massive energy readings, enough power to run 100 cities. That has to be the right choice. We need power to fight the Empire. Stone shook her head. The blue one is connected to some kind of vast database. Knowledge is what we really need right now. But Walker was looking at the green pillar, which seemed to show nothing special at all. He stepped closer, remembering the hologram's words about wisdom and compassion. The artifact's glow pulsed in sync with his heartbeat. It's the green one, he said quietly. Understanding. That's what the ancient humans valued most. Not power or even knowledge alone, but the wisdom to use them properly. He placed his hand on the green panel. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the entire chamber lit up with a soft emerald light. The crystal walls became transparent, revealing a hidden passage leading deeper into the moon. Imperial ships entering the upper atmosphere. Stone called out. They hurried through the passage, which led them to a smaller chamber. Inside, they found what looked like a simple silver sphere, floating in a column of light. The artifact reacted strongly to its presence, nearly pulling itself from Walker's grip. What is it? Tom asked. A key, Walker replied, somehow knowing. Part of what we need to activate the Guardian's heart. The chamber shuddered as Imperial weapons fire hit the moon's surface far above. Stone urged them back toward their ship, the silver sphere safely stored with the artifact. As they ran, Walker noticed something strange. The passages they had come through were changing, sealing themselves behind them. By the time the Imperial forces reached the crystal chamber, there would be nothing left to find. They reached their ship just as the first Imperial shuttles entered the vast cavern they had originally landed in. Stone wasted no time, firing up the engines and plotting an escape route. They're going to spot us the moment we take off, she warned. But as their ship lifted into the air, the artifact and the silver sphere began to pulse in unison. A field of energy spread around their vessel, and suddenly the Imperial ships seemed to look right through them. Some kind of cloaking technology, Tom said excitedly, checking the readings. But like nothing we've ever seen before. They slipped past the Imperial forces undetected, shooting up through the atmosphere and into space. Through their viewport, they could see dozens of Imperial ships surrounding the moon, but none reacted to their presence. Once they were safely away, Walker examined the silver sphere. Like the artifact, it was covered in flowing symbols, but these told a different part of humanity's story. They spoke of balance, of the responsibility that came with power, of the importance of understanding over mere strength. That's why the trial was about understanding, he realized. Each piece we find isn't just a key, it's a lesson. We're not just collecting tools, we're remembering who we were meant to be. Stone plotted their course to the next location. Well, we better keep remembering fast. The Empire's not going to give up just because we passed one trial. Walker nodded, watching the stars streak by as they jumped to faster-than-light travel. The artifact and sphere pulsed together, almost like a heartbeat, guiding them toward their next challenge, and one step closer to awakening humanity's true legacy. The final trial brought them to a dead star system. Their ship, battered from escaping multiple Imperial encounters, limped toward a space station that had been hidden in the shadow of a black hole for thousands of years. The Empire's entire fleet is gathering near Earth, Stone reported grimly. Whatever we're going to do, we need to do it fast. They had collected 4 pieces of the ancient legacy now, each one teaching them more about humanity's past. The artifact led them to dock with the station, which lit up as they approached, just like the city on Avalon had. Inside, they found something unexpected. The station's main chamber wasn't filled with advanced technology or hidden weapons. Instead, its walls were covered with thousands of stasis pods. Most were empty, but one still glowed with power. The artifact and the collected keys floated toward the active pod. As the team approached, the pod's surface became transparent, revealing its occupant, an Imperial officer in an ancient uniform, perfectly preserved. "It's a trap," Stone said, raising her weapon, but Walker held up his hand. "No," he said, understanding flowing from the artifact. "It's a message, the last message." The pod opened with a hiss of escaping air. The officer's eyes opened, and a hologram sprang to life around him. It showed scenes from the ancient rebellion, but from a different perspective than they had seen before. "I am Commander Richard Drake," the officer said weakly, his voice rough from centuries of silence. "I was a leader of the rebellion, and I am a warning." They watched as the hologram showed the rebels' original intentions. They hadn't started as conquerors. They had been idealists who thought humanity was being too cautious with its power, too slow to solve the galaxy's problems. "We thought we could do better," Drake continued. "We thought with all our power, we had a duty to take control, to fix everything ourselves. We were wrong." The hologram showed how the rebellion had changed, how the desire to help had turned into a need to control, how the rebels had started using the ancient technology in ways it was never meant to be used, twisting its purpose. "The technology wasn't just advanced," Drake explained. "It was alive in its own way, connected to us, designed to work in harmony with our best intentions. When we tried to force it, to use it for control rather than protection, it began to break down." Tom looked at their collected keys with new understanding. "That's why the Empire's technology seems like a crude copy of the ancient versions." Drake nodded weakly. "They're using broken reflections of the true technology, forced to work in ways that damage both the user and the used. That's why the Empire keeps expanding. They need more and more power to keep their failing systems running." Suddenly, the station shuddered. Warning lights flashed throughout the chamber. "Imperial ships incoming," Stone shouted, checking the sensors. "A whole fleet. They must have followed us." Drake grabbed Walker's arm with surprising strength. "The Guardian's heart isn't a weapon. It's a reset. A way to shut down all the broken technology, to give us a chance to start again, the right way. But you have to understand why we failed to make sure it doesn't happen again." The artifact and the keys began to pulse, their lights spreading to create a detailed hologram map. It showed their final destination, a place hidden in plain sight, where everything had begun. "Earth," Walker breathed. "The heart is on Earth. Where else would you hide the key to humanity's future?" Drake smiled sadly. "But remember, power isn't the answer. Control isn't the answer. Understanding and harmony are the only way forward." Stone was already heading for their ship. "Well, we better get moving. The entire Imperial fleet is between us and Earth." Walker looked at Drake, who was settling back into his pod. "Thank you for waiting all this time to warn us." "Make it count," Drake said as his pod resealed. "Make sure we learn from our mistakes this time." The station trembled again as Imperial ships opened fire, but now they knew their final destination. And more importantly, they understood what they were really fighting for. Earth hung in space before them, surrounded by the largest fleet anyone had ever seen. Hundreds of Imperial ships filled the sky, their silver hulls gleaming in the sunlight. At their center was the Imperial flagship, larger than any city on the planet below. "This is your last chance," Grand Admiral Marcus's voice boomed across all frequencies. "Surrender the artifacts, and we may spare your world." In their small ship, Walker looked at the collection they had gathered. The artifact and 4 keys, all pulsing with blue light in perfect harmony. Stone sat at the controls, while Tom worked on the sensors. "They've got us completely surrounded," Tom reported. "No way through." But Walker was smiling. "We don't need to get through. We're exactly where we need to be." The artifact suddenly lifted into the air, the keys orbiting around it. Their combined light filled the ship's cabin. In that light, Walker could see Earth differently, see the ancient technology that had been sleeping beneath its surface all along. "This is Professor James Walker," he broadcast to all channels, including Earth's defenders below. "And I have a story to tell you, Admiral Marcus. A story about who you really are, who we all are." The artifact projected its message for everyone to see. The truth about the Empire's broken technology, about humanity's true purpose as guardians rather than conquerors. Images filled the space around Earth, visible to every ship in orbit. "You're not our enemies," Walker continued. "You're our children, our lost family, trying to use our inherited tools without understanding their purpose." On the Imperial ships, alarms began to sound. Their copy technology was responding to the artifact's presence, recognizing its true source. "Lies," Marcus shouted, but there was fear in his voice now. "Open fire. Destroy them all." The Imperial ships launched their weapons, but something extraordinary happened. As each energy beam approached their small ship, it split apart into harmless light. The artifact and keys were singing now, their combined frequency reaching out to every piece of ancient technology. Walker placed his hand on the artifact. "We choose to remember," he said quietly. "We choose to return to our true purpose." A pulse of blue light exploded outward from their ship, washing over the Imperial fleet. As it passed, ships began to change. The forced and broken technology that powered them started to heal itself, returning to its original purpose. On the Imperial flagship, Marcus watched in horror as his mighty weapons transformed into their true forms. Tools for creation, for healing, for protection. All across his fleet, the same change was spreading. The Guardian's heart wasn't a weapon, Walker explained to everyone listening. It was a reminder, a way to restore what was broken. Not just in our technology, but in ourselves. The blue wave reached Earth, sinking deep into the ground. Ancient systems that had slept for millennia began to wake up. Not as weapons or tools of war, but as they were meant to be, the foundations of a civilization built on understanding and harmony. Imperial ships hung powerless in space, their stolen energy replaced with something older and truer. The frightened crews found themselves being helped rather than attacked, as emergency systems activated to keep them safe. "It's over, Admiral," Walker said, "but not in the way you feared. This isn't an ending, it's a beginning." From Earth below, signals began broadcasting. The awakened systems were reaching out, ready to teach humanity. All of humanity, about their shared heritage and true purpose. Stone looked at their sensors in amazement. The technology, it's not just shutting down. It's healing itself, and helping heal everyone using it. "Because that's what it was always meant to do," Walker said softly. "We were never supposed to be conquerors or warriors. We were meant to be guardians, teachers, helpers, and now we can be again." As the sun rose over Earth, its light fell on a changed solar system. The Empire's fleet was transforming from an armada of war into a flotilla of exploration and discovery. And humanity, both the people of Earth and their long-lost Imperial cousins, had taken their first steps back toward their true destiny among the stars. Not through destruction, but through understanding. Not through force, but through healing. Not as conquerors, but as guardians once again.